I can't explain how beautiful it feels to wake up and not hurt, to wake up and be normal, you know what I mean?
I couldn't have asked for a better place to do my treatment at. I mean, I had a lot of things that were bothering me from my past, from deaths that I've had in my family, and that I wasn't able to deal with.
I never knew how much strength I had in me until being here at the Haven.
The people and the staff were they were just great.
I didn't trust anybody before I got here. I could trust again.
I feel more willing, more able, more at peace.
They always care for you no matter what.
The skills that they teach you are very powerful.
You have to have the coping skills, and those aren't taught in schools. I never was taught, so a lot of the coping skills that I was taught here.
Miss Jackie, she's amazing, We have self-awareness, domestic violence, create your best life, anger management, and parenting.
All of them have open minds, and they're really be able to relate with you because of their past, because a lot of them are in recovery themselves, so that makes it a plus.
They don't treat you like you're a drug addict. Every one of the staff members here, Rudy's my counselor, and he's, he makes me feel like I'm real, I'm a special person. I'm not, just trash like I used to think I was.
You gain your self-worth back, your self-esteem. They build you up.
I've had very low self-esteem most of my life. A lot of times you're put down and you look down upon for your traumas, for being just who you are. I mean, life does that in general, but it just seems like it's a little worse with the addiction problem that I had. So yeah, it does play a big part. And my self-esteem has grown a lot since I've been here at the Haven.
I was very critical, and I used to work in the nursing field, and I had everything together very well until I developed sciatica from a car accident. I started taking the painkillers, and they were prescribed. And then eventually, one thing led to another, it led to heroin. Never in a million years did I ever think I was going to use that drug. Ever.
I started off on narcotic pills. I have really bad kidney stones, and so that's how I started. The pills were going to be too expensive to buy and, all that stuff, so I started doing heroin, and from there that took over my life.
Because you have an addiction disorder, when you see it or you're around it, you're addicted to it, you're gonna smoke it, you're gonna, however you did your drug, you're gonna do it. And like I knew in my head I wanted to stop, I really did. But when I seen it, I wanted it. I wanted it so bad, but I knew the consequences that came with it. I knew the hurt, I knew the sad.
I was suffering so much, and I didn't know how to ask for help because we can't make clear choices when we're using. And so in my case, I was forced to quit. If there are people out there suffering, and I know there are many, 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 my heart goes out to them. I actually died a couple times and then went to jail, and I just hope that that wouldn't be the way, because you either make a choice to quit, and that's hard when you're using because your brain doesn't work right, or jail and death, or institutions. It's I would say, to the family members, that's like the best way to get attention for someone else, because they just can't make their own decisions, not rationally anyway.
I asked for help, and my probation officer wanted to send me to jail first, and I said, you can't do that. That is not going to help me.
My caseworker had told me about the Haven before, but like how I was under the influence, it came out one ear and went out the other, A
lot of people end up in jail or end up getting in trouble, and there's just no way to make the right choices. Your brain is clouded. I mean, it's affected in a way that, you can't be yourself. You can't think clearly.
I didn't use my coping skills. I didn't use my sponsors. I didn't use the material that they helped me when I did go out there. But this time around, I know what I need to do, and Miss Nathi, she is my counselor, and she sees a bigger change in me, and she's really helping me to see the things I didn't see before. And I'm really proud of myself. My main medicine for my treatment here is The drum.
Every day I'm just, working on myself, becoming stronger each and every day, and just living in the now.
Never give up hope. There's always a chance.
I'm 50 now, and I've just now got my help, and it was because of the Haven.
There's people out there that understand and they care and they were willing to help you and go to the lengths to do that. You just have to reach out for help.
She used to laugh at us and just smile at us when she heard us laughing through the walls, because I never thought in a million years that I could be this happy in rehab, ever. I mean, this place has really touched my heart.
It's been a miracle.
The Haven is a special place for the clients.
The Haven tends to have a genuine interest in each woman that goes through here.
Most of the women lost all hope, and when they come here, they feel it restoring, and it's such a beautiful thing to see the women regain hope and just grow and blossom into gorgeous women.
We come here through different avenues, but the common theme is not the addiction. The common theme is the underlie. What is in my core? What has happened to me?
It is a disease, mental illness. There's all kinds of things that we just don't see.
Miracles happen here. I witnessed a lot of women, regain themselves, regain custody of their children, their families. They've been able to fulfill their dreams, their goals.
And they discover that they can feel different about themselves. They can make a difference in their lives.
That there's a possibility of doing something different and being a woman of grace and dignity who loves herself and that we're deserving.
With the new approach, the trauma-informed care, that's definitely working on these women, and it's giving them a new approach to life.
It's the solidifying what we need to do for our clients to work with our clients in a compassionate manner.
How can we help you this time? What are we not giving you? What do you need from us? Approach instead of you might need to leave, discharging. As far in the past, that's been pretty much the approach that was taken.
The information that we give the person, it varies according to the substance, but I think that the treatment approach here, it goes directly to the heart, and that's, I always say we're gonna heal the heart, the broken heart, and then everything else, kind of takes care of itself.
They're some of the most strongest women I've ever met in my life. They're extremely resilient. They've had to go through trials and tribulations that we don't even imagine in our worst nightmares. So
there's no such thing as a hopeless human being. Even those with substance abuse disorder, no matter how far down they've gone, there's always hope. There's always hope.
We have staff that are in recovery, who understand it, who are living it daily, and who are here with open arms.
Because I love the Haven's philosophy, recovery with respect. That was exactly what I was given. I chose to come back here and work because I know that is what we still do.
Addiction begins as a solution, and then it becomes an even bigger problem than what we were self-medicating to begin with. Our brain, when it's developing in utero, and it continues to develop in the first 2.5 years of life, human beings aren't born with a completely finished brain. And so it's that time frame that is most important for healthy brain development. If, from an evolutionary standpoint, that brain development is expecting a hunter-gatherer experience. And of course, in our society today, we don't really have a lot in common with what hunter-gatherer societies were like. Living in today's society can actually have an effect on how the brain develops in utero and in those first 2.5 years of life.
should not be looked upon as being a moral failing. So there are different, like the word addict you mentioned a moment ago, and you know that it's a word I don't like. Again, it's got this kind of pejorative, negative sense around it, which I don't want to have at all in our field. So I'd much rather use the term substance use disorder. But let's try and find a better dictionary of terminology to describe this disease. Once we've done that, a lot will fall into place, and people, individuals that have got substance use disorder are going to be able to say, I have a substance use disorder, can you help me? As opposed to slinking away in shame.
We have to be mindful of our language. So do we look at relapse? Do we look at recurrence? What's the difference? Well, for example, if you have someone with a very unfortunate diagnosis of cancer and their cancer returns, did they have a relapse in their cancer? No, they had a recurrence. If you look at someone who is a diabetic or who is hypothyroid and their levels are out of control, do we shame and blame and guilt them? Or do we look at it as, oh wow, their symptomology is out of control and we need to help manage them in a different way? So when we have someone who is, within our realm of needing assistance with their substance use disorder, we don't want to use words, we want to be very mindful, testing dirty or testing clean. We want to say positive and negative. We don't want to use relapse. We want to use recurrence. We want to be very gentle, and we want to help educate the consumer, the client served, the people that we are helping. We want to educate them on the model so that they can release some of their shame, because most of them are very, very traumatized, either multiple small stressors and traumas over a lifetime or something really impactful that shifted them. And the science is starting to catch up with that. They're starting to be able to pinpoint through MRI studies and all of the researchers and the amazing scientists that have been working on this. It's been more and more evident in the last decade which parts of the brain light up, and we're only ever using about 10% of our brain at any given time. The rest is our operating system, beating our heart, helping us breathe. 90% of it's in the background. So what is really going on that is conscious when we're looking at someone prior to their recurrence? Those are things that we have to examine in a way that is very compassionate and gentle, so that we can break through some of that shame and get to what's really going on with the people we're trying to help.
So what the latest brain science, the neurobiological research is showing us is that the disease of substance use disorder is not a thinking disease. It's not a disease of the mind. It's a disease of the brain, the organ. It's like the brain is the hardware and the mind is the software. And the hardware in this case, both in utero and in the first few years of life, doesn't develop in a normal, healthy way that we expect it to develop. And so there are some key things that happen in the body-mind of somebody who has this neural path disconnect that can sometimes develop.
It's a genetic disorder wrapped around with behavior. We mustn't forget that.
So the stigma of addiction is that the people suffering from that disease are thinking poorly. They're not good decision makers. They're immoral. They're selfish. They have problems. They just want to stay high all the time because they don't want to deal with life. And the reality is that these people have been suffering their entire life with things that are going on in their body, their mind, their spirit, and their psyche that are extraordinarily painful. You can't think your way into that. And it's not because you're selfish that you seek to self-medicate. It's that you just want to stop that pain. A couple of things that we highlight happen. Number one, when the brain isn't connected properly, the person is living in fight, flight, or freeze 99% of the time. The amygdala takes over and they're on high alert. So when you're in fight, flight, or freeze all the time, just think about what happens when you think you're in danger and you start to panic and you can't think clearly and everything is moving fast, and that's their normal. But they learn how to look like everybody else because that's what we do, right? Human beings look normal because that's the only way we can fit in. 95% of the serotonin that we produce is produced in the gut. And if I'm in fight, flight, or freeze all the time, I'm not producing serotonin. The lack of serotonin predisposes people to develop depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, and these things are developing from day one with the babies that are born with this neural path disconnect. It's a completely different way of living a life on this planet. But from the outside, you can't tell who's got a disconnect and who doesn't. When this disconnect occurs, the part of the brain that's responsible for developing a sense of self, a place where, and I use the term place freely here, a place deep inside of us that I can go to ground and to know with a deep, deep knowing who I am, what I stand for. I have memories about how I've gone through things in the past. So when everything goes crazy around me, I can go and access this sense of self and know that these things have happened before and I'm going to be okay. Or I know how to handle this situation. I'm going to be okay. That's one of my strengths. I can handle this. When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, and this neural path has disconnected from the part that develops that safe place, that sense of self, it never gets developed. So not only do these folks grow up in fight, flight, or freeze with the predisposition for depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and PTSD, they also don't have any sense of who they are. So they're always at the mercy of the people that are around them. How am I doing? How am I doing? Am I okay? Because they don't have that intrinsic self-worth or understanding of who they are. And so they're constantly looking out here for validation in here. And we know that that simply doesn't work.
What makes the Haven model so unique is in how we deliver the services and the different steps that we use to release trauma without necessarily initially talking about the traumatic events or the series of events. We start by building trust and creating a very safe relationship with our clientele so that they are able to then go to the next step in allowing us to help them calm their entire system down. And when we talk about this, it's not just about relaxation, but working with them to re-engage the left and the right brain so that we can integrate treatments that affect the way we think in an impactful way. So when someone is traumatized and comes to treatment, there is a definite disconnect between the right and the left brain. And when we are working in very small ways, and we have a variety of modalities that we use to begin this process prior to whatever we're delivering, whether it's individual sessions or group sessions, we calm them down so that the left brain is reconnected to the right brain and they are able to process new information in a way that helps them heal. This is how we integrate whole body, whole mind, whole spirit treatment in a way that's science-based. So when we have the integration of the right and the left brain virtually speaking to one another again, in effect it releases trauma in a way that we don't even have to discuss the events specifically. And that allows us to then move into all of the issues that are building up, leading toward an active substance use disorder.
So the new understanding is that we need to find some way to calm the brain, to allow any new learning to be absorbed by the client as they're trying to learn new ways to live. So there's a lot of science behind this that needs to be brought out into the world.
I believe that there's hope. And with a little bit of compassion and understanding and really addressing shame, blame, and guilt and helping people release that it's not over till it's over. You could be at any stage in life and you can get well. And the brain has this incredible ability to heal. And I think that, like any other disease model, if we can just give people hope and we can just thank them for sharing with us and help them to feel safe. And even if they don't stay for the length that we think they should stay, to always make sure that our clients know that they're welcome back.